I think that the two most important components of like leadership and just to any degree interacting in this company is trust and the vision. So the trust is that that we are all flying very quickly. We have people doing a variety of different types of things, and they need trust in leadership that we're making decisions. Think about like during COVID that we are making the right decisions, and we gain that really by everyone is participating in that. I mean, ideally as a leader, I or my team we're seeing challenges before they get to us and we bring the team in. Otherwise, we're making sure that the team is always very, very comfortable coming to us, right? There's like a lot of people say they have an open door policy, but they don't, but the door is always closed. We really do mean it, right? And then we are a mission-driven company. And so that like my role more than anything else that I do is keeping that vision front and center. Like we are here to save history. That is what we are doing. And that keeps everyone really, really invested and knowing that they're a part of something bigger.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to be talking about mission-driven companies and the vision to drive growth. When you think about the tools and the foundational elements of your company growth, many times we don't use them to their full advantage. We do them because we're told to, or maybe we do them kind of in the middle of our scale, but we don't really leverage them the way we could as an organization. Now, a lot of the work I do as an executive coach is helping people be more aligned. And it's really hard to hire the right people if you don't have a clear mission that brings in the people that are aligned. And so that is something that's very important. But also from a place of clarity, having a vision of what the future looks like when we are successful. And so that everyone has a real focal point and a North Star to what we're creating here, why we're doing it, and really knows their role inside that. I don't think a vision is just a statement anymore. I think it's much more complex. It's more nuanced. It's much deeper than just a statement. It is something that aligns the team together. Our special guest today is the founder and CEO of HistoryIT. They really work with archives and they do it soup to nuts. She explains it much better in this, but we're talking with Kristen Gwinn-Becker. And Kristen and I talk about mission a good bit, but we spend most of our time on vision to growth. When you think about your own vision to growth, are you really leveraging it in the most powerful way? Would you say that it's a central tool or driving force to the company unity, alignment, and growth? For most company, it's not. We're just scratching the surface on it. So today, lean in, take some good notes, and really create a mission-driven that's clarity and unifies your people. And then also the vision to drive growth is a very necessary tool if you want alignment. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm a CEO coach. We do executive coaching. We also do manager coaching. It sounds like we just throw a bunch of things in coaching, but what we really do is help organizations create the kind of leadership that allows the company to grow without the CEO pulling everyone along. There's so many nuances to this. There's so many tools and frameworks that we've done over the years, 15 years to be exact, to help businesses that are in growth mode continue that growth mode, because it's an evolution and a transformation at every leadership level. And you want to make sure that you have all of this to have the kind of alignment that allows for more growth and more scalability. And so when you think about your own journey, I don't know what's ahead of you. I don't know if there's a big project, a big client. Maybe you've got some nervous energy and there's some uncertainty about what's going on. All of those are reasons why to give me a call and let's have a chat about your business. You may think that this is a sales call, but I will try to reframe that for you. It's not a sales call. I promise not to sell you. So how could it be a sales call? But it is a call so that we could get into relationship, get into dialogue. I'd like to use some of my tools and frameworks, ask you a few questions that will expose exactly where you want to grow and how you can do it. If you want to take that and run with it, I'd be happy to give it to you and share it with you. Now, if you are curious about that, just send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. Mention that you saw it on the podcast, because otherwise it'll cost you money. But if you say that you've heard it on the podcast, it's absolutely for free. And I look forward to you reaching out, talking to me about your leadership blind spots. We all have them. And you will leave with clarity and confidence about what to do next. If you want us to support you, we can talk about it in a later conversation down the road. But in this call, it really is about you. So send me that email, gene@genehammett.com. Now, here's the interview with Kristen. Kristen, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Gene?
I'm fantastic. Looking forward to today's episode. I know that you're here because you've got tremendous success behind you. We want to tell some of that story and pull out some nuggets for our audience. So tell us about your company, HistoryIT.
Sure, great. So HistoryIT is a software and services company. We build digital archives and museums. I like to say we build digital archives soup to nuts. So that's everything from strategic planning around what your digital archive needs to look like. We really specialize in how to connect the content in your archive with your specific audience. So that digs a lot into the super geeky stuff about how it's tagged, what the metadata looks like. And then our services go from preservation imaging to tagging the materials. We have our own software platform, and then some or part of those archives are then presented to the public or to the organization's audience in a digital museum. And so our clients are not where you'd expect when someone says, I run a history company. They're like maybe 20% of our market is cultural heritage, museums, libraries, historical societies. We focus a lot in niche markets that, like to say, if your organization is older than 5 minutes and your story depends on your history, it depends on where you're coming from, what that legacy looks like, then you're an ideal partner for HistoryIT, because everyone needs better access to the content, that raw content that they use to tell their stories. So we work with membership-based organizations like fraternities, sororities, junior leagues, camps. We work with all the way up to like NFL teams, so, and kind of pretty much everything in between.
That is a variety of customers. What's going through my head too here is AI. And I don't know if you guys are involved on the cutting edge of AI, maybe just using it for operational excellence. How would you frame in your focus of AI within your company?
Well, it's certainly changing what we do pretty rapidly. I founded the company 14 years ago. And so we've seen a lot of ups and downs with AI. I think it is for us, where we focus on very, very intentional audience connection. So that's down to the detail of how your materials need to be tagged in order for your public, your users, to truly gain information from them, right? So there's always, AI helps us scale what we do in terms of the time it takes to do, we are still human eyeballs on every single word of a multi-million page collection, for example. So it helps us scale that for sure. And it's only going to continue to do that. But then that quality control piece, that the human element remains just as important at HistoryIT.
Fantastic. I really am excited about talking with you about the digital storytelling and how that's created the tipping point in your business. So I don't know where you start with this story, but I'm gonna trust that you know exactly where to start.
Sure. Well, I think like with any bootstrap business, it's been a roller coaster, right? Lots of really big ups and downs. We grew really big, really quickly. In 2011, I founded the company, and I'm a historian, by the way, by background. And so I founded this company at this time when, this content is king. And I had just spent years and years in graduate school with access to like hundreds and hundreds of archives that were just for me, right? And so I wanted to really open that up. So I founded this company to help organizations connect with their audience by using their history. And it became quickly, immediately obvious that a very, very small percentage of historical materials were much less digital in a way where they were truly preserved for the future, much less accessible, right? There's like kind of this digital dumping ground of a ton of PDFs and files with random names. And so we spent the first several years with a lot of trial and error on how to meet our clients where they were. And we grew, I would say we got really big, really fast. And then we kind of had moderate, steady growth on the both the software side and the services side. But really, it was COVID. I mean, we are a COVID success story, which is a bizarre thing to say. But for almost 10 years, in 2020, for almost 10 years, I felt like all of my pitches, all of my presentations, every blog I wrote, I was basically screaming at the top of my lungs, like, it's really, really, really important to be able to tell your story in a digital platform. It's really important that your audience, whether that's an internal to your organization or to your public or your membership, it's really important that they're able to connect with your content and find your content easily. I felt like I screamed that for almost a decade. And in 2020, I didn't have to say a thing anymore because everyone recognized very quickly how imperative it was that their digital content was accessible and online. And so once we, survived those initial months, and the world kind of started to stabilize again, then we really, really saw that growth because all of a sudden the urgency was there, right? So very few people would say, no, we're not really interested in preserving our history. Or, no, we don't really need to talk about our legacy. It's just not as important as what we're doing right now. All of a sudden it became the most important thing. We've got remote workforce that needs access to our materials in the ways in which they're used to searching. We have audiences that expect to consume both our stories and all of our content online, and we need to be able to do that. So it's just been this like marathon since 2020.
So we talk a lot about leadership, and I know you've got a team around you, you've got consultants and contractors and things like that. How do you lead this company through all this growth?
Carefully, trial and error. I think that the two most important components of like leadership and just to any degree interacting in this company is trust and the vision. So the trust is that that we are all flying very quickly. We have people doing a variety of different types of things, and they need trust in leadership that we're making decisions. Think about like during COVID that we are making the right decisions, and we gain that really by everyone is participating in that. I mean, ideally, as a leader, I or my team we're seeing challenges before they get to us and we bring the team in. Otherwise, we're making sure that the team is always very, very comfortable coming to us, right? This, like a lot of people say they have an open door policy, but they don't, but the door is always closed. We really do mean it, right? And then we are a mission-driven company. And so that like my role more than anything else that I do is keeping that vision front and center. Like we are here to save history. That is what we are doing. And that keeps everyone really, really invested and knowing that they're a part of something bigger.
Kristen was talking about vision. I'll be honest with you, a lot of companies will think that they have a pretty good vision. I've done a lot of surveys. It's on one of my questions on if you had a scorecard for your company, where is everyone on vision? And so many people get this wrong because it might be trapped into the CEO's head, but it's not written down. It's not something that others know about and are tuned into. And sometimes it changes and it doesn't get updated is the right word. But I want to just tell you this. The reason why you want to have a vision is clarity. It's simple. It's clarity. If you aren't clear about what the future looks like, how are you going to align your team to that future? How are you going to align the projects and put a filter in place of which projects are we focused on? When you think about this, it really is about clarity, and then drives alignment. So you can ignore the rally cry to having a vision, or you can use this as a spark. And if you want our free resources to help you create the vision, we've got some tools. We'll give them to you for free. Send me an email, gene@genehammett.com, and I'll give it to you right away. Back to Kristen. A lot of companies will say that they have a vision and it's an important piece. I'm not going to give you a multi-thing question, but there is two questions to this. But how did you come up with the vision that you have? Like paint a picture for us of what it looks like to have a really strong vision that propels the company forward.
Well, so when I say our mission is to save history, it's to democratize history. It is to make history as accessible to a fifth grader as it is to me with my PhD in history, right? It is really to make access to our past because we value that. We talk about it constantly, that we understand who we are as being a part of something greater than ourselves, and that we are a part of preserving that we live in a very particular time where we have to get this right. We have to transform an almost unfathomable amount of material to the digital in a way that's truly forward thinking. So really kind of painting that vision about hashtag Save History is on like every kind of brand everywhere we are. And so that is kind of front and center always, even in like kind of the mundane pieces of what we do, we're always bringing it back to something bigger.
My second question behind this is, how do you use it? So you said you're bringing it back to something bigger. Are you using this with your team on a quarterly basis, a yearly basis, or is it more often? Is it being integrated into conversations and whatnot?
So it is, it's certainly a part of everything that we do. So we always want anyone in the organization to know like whatever component of a project is, or some piece that they're working on, where it fits into the bigger picture, and then where it fits into our client's success ultimately, right? So we do monthly lunch and learns where a different team member presents what they're doing. We have an open chat where people just drop in funny or random or interesting things that they come across. And, we build a lot of digital archives so that we come up with some entertaining things from time to time. So there's that constant, my colleague says that like you need two things to survive at HistoryIT, and one is like the passion for saving history, and the other is sarcasm. So that is a key part of day-to-day life, even though we're spread across the country, having that. And then every Friday we send out a weekly wins email, just some things to celebrate that week.
I love all this, and I want to change into some other areas of this conversation, but vision is such an important piece for clarity. And what you're painting a picture is how you use it. So thank you. When you are, getting your team on board, it sounds like a lot of the people are a lot like you. So I love the fact that you talked about a passion for history and a passion for sarcasm. Your values are probably a very central part of the success of your company. Would you agree to that?
Yes. Yep.
How are you using values?
So yeah, I mean, the mission, vision, and values are all they're probably the key thing that we filter for in with any new talent, right? So it is why HistoryIT. What more than anything else, I would say both our clients and our employees across the board are aligned with the vision of what we're doing, whether they're building software or tagging millions of pages, just creating that metadata, whatever they're doing, they're passionate about that. So the day-to-day, I think, celebrations and acknowledgements of both of the challenges. So the challenges are bringing everyone in to solve problems or to face challenges, to have brainstorming session about whatever is going on in the company, as well as then to celebrate, to say, look at how this organization is now utilizing their history. Look at how this organization just raised $2 million with our digital museum. Look at, so I think it's bringing everyone in on constantly reminding them that whatever it is that they're doing is connected to something larger. And when they first come, that's from first being on board. Nobody comes through an interview without it being very obvious that they're passionate about what we do.
Kristen, I want to turn the spotlight onto you as the leader here. Every leader has been through some inflection points, and I don't know what has really shaped you. You've got, 14 years of this company. Is there one inflection point that you could share with us and talk to our audience about that might help them?
I'd say there are two.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I'm a historian. I was in San Francisco a bit for the .com boom and bust, technology background, but a business, no idea. I just founded a company doing what I love, and that meant I made a lot of mistakes. By the fourth year, I made a lot of mistakes. What I really mean to say is I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I got very lucky, and still do. In the fourth year, we had what I thought defined success. We had offices in 4 states. We had built international partnerships. We had these marquee clients. We weren't struggling to make payroll, though our margins weren't great, but we were this big entity, right? What I didn't understand was that doesn't mean success. It's just what I thought. It's what it looks like, and I can paint this lovely picture, but really managing that is a nightmare, right? Managing 4 offices in 4 states and like supporting these international partnerships. So I didn't understand the difference between growth and scale. And I understood that, so that in year 4, this decision to get small in order to get big, and as painful as that was, and that felt like failing, it felt like, okay, you know what, we need to take fewer clients, we need to cut employees, we need to get smaller so that we can focus and we can get, we can build a company that's not just built around me and that's not built around just kind of, multiplying ourselves, but truly scaling. And then we really didn't get to that until 2020. And then, like I said, we were set to go. We had built out a lot of the infrastructure and how we worked so that we were ready for that scale. But it took a lot of trial and error. But that first in 2015, that decision to just compress felt antithetical to everything I was supposed to be doing, but you can grow in all of these ways, but still not actually make any money, right?
Now, Kristen just said something really incredible. Sometimes you have to get small to get to scale. Hopefully I paraphrased that for you well. But what I thought about when she said that was a phrase that comes up in my coaching quite a bit that I've gotten some from other mentors, is sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. Now, if you think about that phrase, it's so true in life. If you were going on a diet, you slow down and think about, okay, what do I need to do? What are the keys to this? Why is this going to be different than the last time? Or whatever that may be. You have to slow down to be able to create that plan. Now, in scaling businesses, no one wants to slow down, but it's very valuable to slow down so that you can rebuild on a strong foundation and create the kind of scale and the resilience inside the organization and leverage that it takes to truly scale a company. Because many times we just go because there's demand, and then we realize it's created more problems. So you want to make sure that you really understand that slow down to speed up is the way forward. Back to Kristen. Yeah, the Inc. 5000, as many people have pointed out, that it's not about profitability, it's about growth. And I get it, but a lot of companies, I don't know how many years you've made the list, but they show up year after year after year. So that consistency of it shows some hallmarks of things that are working well. When you think about what's next for your leadership and culture, is there anything kind of on the horizon that you're looking at as your company continues to scale and make the impact that it has?
Well, you already mentioned AI, and I think, that's something that those are conversations we are having weekly, certainly if not daily, depending on the team members, of how can we continue to innovate, right? I mean, we're historians, we're not necessarily known for being, an innovative, forward-thinking group. No offense to all of my colleagues, we're just not. So embracing AI and looking at, where are the dangers, where are the biases in it, where are the dangers, both mainly in terms of the quality of what we produce, where can it add value, how can it help us scale on the business processes side, on the implementation of what we do, to how our clients utilize our software. So those are conversations that are happening constantly, and that is the next level of scale that's going to look completely different from what it's looked like before. Like how to scale a bunch of projects and a bunch of software contracts rapidly is going to look different from scaling with full AI integration. It's just going to go, like a rocket.
I really appreciate you being here, sharing your wisdom, sharing your experience, your perspective. Thanks so much, Kristen.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview. I love the energy she has and just an incredible voice of really reason about creating a company with a mission-driven approach and why that's such a powerful force in their business. But then we dive a lot more into how they're using that vision to align people together and to grow that company. Hopefully you got some real nuggets out of that. I know I was very fascinated by what she was doing and how they're doing it at HistoryIT. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, we encourage. We'll see you next time.